A very warm welcome from ManageEngine. This is a webinar on March Patch Tuesday updates, and will be discussing the security updates and non-security updates and analyze them in detail. Before we start, I would request you to confirm if you could view the presentation and listen to the audio without any glitches. All right, we have got some confirmations. We are good to begin. So before we begin, yesterday was a sad day in the history of science. We lost Stephen Hawking. Dear Stephen Hawking, you will be missed and remembered forever. On a different note, yesterday was coincidentally the Pi Day, 3/14 of the year. So I was thinking of grabbing a puzzle book for some leisure time. So I was thinking that yesterday was the Pi Day, 3/14 of the year. So I was thinking of grabbing a puzzle book and solving some for some leisure time. So Microsoft had other ideas. What Microsoft and a few other vendors did last Tuesday was release a plethora of security updates, so your computer and mine could remain up to date and secure from any data threats. So March, as compared to February's Patch Tuesday, is a typical Patch Tuesday to be dealt more calmly. Why? Because unlike in January, we don't have a rush of hot fixes, nor do we have any zero-day vulnerability whose patch updates are released. Hence, I would say you can rest assured that things are back to normalcy in the latest Patch Tuesday release. So this seminar is going to span over a little over 40 minutes. So we'll discuss the various vulnerabilities and what happens when they are left unpatched. What will happen if they are exploited? What are the severity and impact assessments? We'll discuss all that in the next few minutes in the course of this webinar. So agenda for the day is breakdown on Microsoft Patch Tuesday updates. So we'll also see the updates on critical third-party applications. We'll analyze the impacts and effects of missing these patches in detail and learn how to proactively defend or secure your network from vulnerabilities and exploits. At the end of the session, we'll also be taking questions from you. So stay tuned. So in the limelight, so last month saw thousands of government websites being hijacked for mining of Monero, a cryptocurrency. Around 4,200 victims could be compromised. The websites were that of US and UK government, which included government, health, and education sectors. The hack was to mine cryptocurrency. The crypto hijacking is on the rise in the last few months. Researchers from IBM's X-Force discovered a new variant called TrickBot malware, which were repurposed to steal bitcoins. A dental health service was the latest victim of ransomware attack. Smith Dental's internal computer servers were the target of a recent ransomware attack. It is believed that some clinical, demographic, and financial information were compromised. So we had this slide in the last Patch Tuesday update. We have this again. So it will be a gentle reminder from us to tell you that Windows 10 lifecycle page, Windows 10 has announced end of life for a few versions of Windows 10 OS. So 16.07 will hit end of life by end of March. Windows 10 17.03 version will hit end of life by September. So you are requested to update to the latest version of Windows 10 to avoid any type of vulnerability attacks. So in total, there are 339 patches that were released in March by Desktop Central. So we'll split them and break down it for you. So Patch Tuesday updates, there were 7 bulletins, 114 patches and 90 updates, a total of 75 vulnerabilities and 5 impacts. We don't have the defense of depth in this time. So breaking down the patches by impact, so we have 3 denial of service vulnerabilities, 3 security feature bypass vulnerabilities, and 26 elevation of privileges, 24 information disclosure vulnerabilities, and 19 remote code executions. So of the 75 fixes, of the 75 vulnerability fixes, 21 were browser related fixes, 14 were critical fixes, and 7 were ranked important. So patches by severity, approximately 73.3% were deemed important patches, nearly 19% were deemed critical patches, 2.7% were moderate, and 5.3% were deemed low critical patches. So OS and applications that were affected, we have a multitude of Windows patches that were affected. Approximately 30 vulnerabilities were detected and patches were released, and 17 Microsoft applications were affected. 16 Microsoft Edge vulnerabilities were detected, 4 of them in Internet Explorer, and a few in Exchange Server, Chakra Core, Adobe, ASP.NET Core, and .NET Core. So these were the OS applications that were affected. So Microsoft Office, Windows, Edge, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Exchange Server, .NET Core, ASP.NET Core, Chakra Core, Adobe Flash Player, and more. So Microsoft Office. So Microsoft Office updates were mostly deemed with the severity ranking of important. So the impacts were information disclosure, remote code execution, security feature bypass, and elevation of privilege. In information disclosure, the attacker gains access to confidential corporate data, and he can act or change or delete the data. Remote code execution allows an attacker to arbitrarily intrude a code and take control of the systems. Security feature bypass allows a local attacker to bypass security restrictions on a targeted system. So the vulnerability is due to improper handling of objects in memory of the affected software. So the attacker could exploit the vulnerability of security feature bypass by executing a crafted application on the targeted system. An exploit could allow the attacker bypass the control flow, and using which further attacks can be conducted. An elevation of privilege, this results from giving an attacker authorization or permissions beyond those were initially granted. For example, an attacker with only read-only privilege somehow elevates himself to read and write, or in some cases, an attacker who was initially given a guest role elevates himself to admin role and takes control of these local systems. Components that were affected: Microsoft Access handling objects memory, Microsoft Excel handling of objects in memory, enforcing macro settings on Excel documents, SharePoint servers sanitization of web requests, and SharePoint servers checks tenant permissions, initializing the affected variable properly. So these were the CVEs. So we'll move on to the exploit assessment. So as we have already seen, the MS Office applications exploits could be run arbitrary code in the context of the current user, complete control of affected system, launch attacks, This could also lead to social engineering attacks such as phishing. Phishing is where you can send malicious emails or have malicious ads running on unsuspecting websites. So you can also gain unauthorized access to logged on users content, which is the elevation of privilege. So Microsoft Windows. So Microsoft Windows kernel was given a lot of attention. We now have mitigation for meltdown on Spectre for Windows 32-bit versions of 7 and 8.1. Windows Server 2008 and 2012 were also patched. Most vulnerabilities are important. They were ranked with the severity of important. Elevation of privileges, denial of service, information disclosure, remote code execution, security feature bypass were the vulnerability impacts. Elevation of privileges, least privileges are required for software users while maintaining full functionality. So this could be one of the components. Okay. So we have listed down the components. So modification of how virtual machines access the Hyper-V network switch. So Windows kernel mode driver handling of objects in memory, Microsoft video control handling of objects in memory, inputting sanitization error to preclude unintended elevation, Windows graphic device interface handling of objects in memory. So we have the continuation of components here. Storage services handling of objects in memory, Windows kernel handling of memory addresses, correction of how Windows remote assistances processes XML external entities. So some of the CVEs are CVE 2018-0815, 0816, 0817, 0868, 0877. All these vulnerabilities are of elevation of privilege. Privilege escalation exists in the way Windows GDI handles objects in memory. CVE 2018-0883 is the Windows shell remote code execution vulnerability where it exists when Windows shell does not properly validate the file copy destinations. An attacker could successfully exploit to run an arbitrary code in the context of the current user. CVE 2018-0884, as you can see, is the Windows security bypass vulnerability wherein an attacker could bypass security restrictions to circumvent a well-crafted program. In this case, it is the user mode code integrity, abbreviated as UMCI. So we have this list of CVEs ranging from 0898, CVE 2018-0898 to CVE 2018-0983. So again, exploit assessment for Microsoft Windows, unprivileged access to user system, which is the elevation of privilege, impersonate processes, interject cross-process communication, or interrupt system functionality. We have a new type of vulnerabilities ever since the meltdown and Spectre broke down. So speculative execution of side channel attacks is another exploit assessment that has been listed in the last 2 months. So Microsoft Edge. So cumulative security updates were released for Microsoft Edge. There is a possibility of remote code execution because of the way Chakra Core scripting engine handles the objects in memory. This allows an attacker to execute arbitrary remote code as a current user. What will be the result? An exploiter could run malicious ads on unsuspecting websites. Basically, the exploiter uses Chakra scripting engine's improper memory handling to his favor for rigging the website and data disclosure. Microsoft browsers, both IE and Edge, improperly handle objects in memory, resulting in remote code execution. So we have the list of CVEs. So ones with critical ratings are, as you can see, CVE 2018-0872, 0874, 0876, 0930, 0933, and 0934. The others are all rated important. So exploit assessment, we've already seen. Arbitrary code execution in the context of the current user. Access information from one domain and inject in the other domain. Unauthorized access to information to further compromise the user's system. Speculative execution side channel attacks. So Microsoft Internet Explorer, which is the other browser from Microsoft. The same component of scripting engines, handling of objects in memory in Internet Explorer paves way to remote code execution, which allows an attacker to remote code execution. Which allows the attacker to execute an arbitrary code in the context of the current user. So the CVEs that are rated critical are CVE 0889 and CVE 0932. 0889 is due to scripting engine memory corruption. 0932 is due to information disclosure. So the exploits assessment, arbitrary code execution, and speculative execution of side channel attacks. So Microsoft Exchange Server. Microsoft Exchange Server, the severity were important, moderate, and low. Thankfully, we don't have any critical patches here. The impacts are information disclosure and elevation of privilege. We have just three CVEs, 0924, 0940, and 0941. Excuse me. Correction of how Microsoft Exchange rewrites links presented with body of emails, Microsoft Exchange handling of importing data, Microsoft Exchange handling of URL redirects are some of the components of the exploits. So exploit assessment, arbitrary code execution, and speculative execution of side channel attacks. So .NET Core and ASP.NET Core have severity of important, moderate, and low. Impact is denial of service. We had 3 denial of service vulnerabilities in the latest Patch Tuesday update. So the components are .NET Core handling of specially crafted requests. And CVE 2018-0875 is the vulnerability number. So as we have seen, arbitrary code execution and speculative execution side channel attacks are the exploits. ASP.NET Core. So we have 2 impacts here, denial of service and elevation of privilege. The severities are again important, moderate, and low. So we have the list of CVEs and components. So the components that will be corrected will be the correction of how a custom web application validates a web request. So arbitrary code execution and speculative code execution of side channel attacks are the 2 exploits. So the components that will be corrected are Chakra core handling of objects in memory, scripting engine handling of objects in memory. So Chakra core, which is the scripting engine of Microsoft browsers, both Internet Explorer and Edge. The severities are critical and important. The remote code execution and information disclosure are the 2 impacts. We have a list of CVEs for you. The exploit assessment are speculative execution side channel attacks and arbitrary code execution. So we have a list of non-security office updates update for Microsoft Outlook 2010, 13, 16, and we have Microsoft OneNote, Outlook, and Project 2016 versions. Some third-party security updates were also released for Windows, updates that were for Google Chrome, Adobe, PDF Exchange Viewer, TeamViewer, Mozilla Firefox, GoodSync, Caliber, Pale Moon, and LibreOffice. So these were the Mac updates. We had an update for Mac Sierra 2018.1, updates for Opera. Mac OS High Sierra 10.13.3 got an update. Mozilla Firefox for Mac got an update. Microsoft OneNote for Mac got an update. Microsoft Excel for Mac 2016 got an update. Microsoft Outlook and PowerPoint got updates. Update for VLC Media Player was also in the latest Patch Tuesday update. So in total, 15,000, reading it wrong, 159,700 total endpoint attacks in 2017 were detected. So are you cyber ready for 2018? Because Gartner says that 99% of the vulnerabilities and attacks will be known attacks. So how are you cyber ready for 2018? So we have patch management from ManageEngine, which will help you secure you against the vulnerabilities and exploits. So securing against vulnerabilities is complex. If you think so, we have patch management from ManageEngine to help your tasks out. So patch management from ManageEngine offers complete automation. So automation, it involves the whole process of patch management, right from the scanning of your machines until the deployment and download and deployment of the machine patches onto your machines. We offer you complete automation of the process. I'll take you to our product page. So here we are. This is our desktop central. We'll go to the patch management tab in the desktop central. As we can see the patch status summary, there are 3,024 applicable patches and missing patches are 732, and installed patches and the new patches that were released. So we can also view the system health summary. So out of 42 managed systems, we can also view that 31 are highly vulnerable systems, 7 are vulnerable systems, and 4 are healthy systems. You can define the vulnerability for yourself. So for a system that misses even one single critical patch, we can deem that to be highly vulnerable systems. Or if it misses three or more important patches, we can deem them to be highly vulnerable systems. And again, vulnerable systems can accordingly be configured. So vulnerability database update details. So we have a patch database where the patches are downloaded from the URLs. So last successful vulnerability database update is on your screen for you to view. Last vulnerability database update results is success. So we have automatic patch deployment details, a number of tasks currently scheduled that are 9. We can also create an automated patch deployment task. I will do that in a short while for you. So I'm going to schedule a task. We support cross-platform patch management. So as you can see, we support patches for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So I will go with Windows task. So I'm going to apply the latest patches from Patch Tuesday update. So as we can see, there are 4 deployment options. So one is scan systems to identify the approved missing patches. So this just scans the system to identify the missing patches. Scan systems and download the approved missing patches. So this will scan the systems, detect the missing patches, and download them onto the DC, desktop central server. Scan systems and download approved missing patches and draft patch tasks. So this allows you to create tasks, and in the future you can come back and apply the same task. So scan systems download and deploy immediately the approved missing patches. So I would recommend this: scan systems download and deploy the approved missing patches. So if you go for this, it's a one-time setup. You do this, it hardly takes you 15 to 20 seconds. You can select all the security updates. You can wish to select the critical and important updates first, security updates. But if you want to totally automate it, I would recommend you to go for critical, important, moderate, low, unrated, all the updates. So if you also want to include non-security updates, so you can also click them. And with the Windows 10 patching model, we have service packs and rollups included, so you can as well include them in your patch management process. So you can select applications, you can select all of them, or you can include specific applications where you can browse for them and select from the selection of applications, or you can exclude specific applications. So you can delay the deployment, deploy approved patches. So approved patches, you have to test and approve the patches and then deploy them after a certain number of days. So the patches are tested and approved. Now they are available for deployment. Now you can say deploy approved patches released before 2 days, which means the patches are available for deployment, they are tested, and within 2 days of observing them, if they are stable, you can deploy the approved patches within 2 days after release. So you can also have a DC default policy. You can configure, you can modify the policy. And deployment rule: continue deployment even if some patches cannot be downloaded. They will get downloaded in the consequent or subsequent refresh cycle. So you can choose the target. You can choose either a remote office or a local office. So you can go for local office, or you can filter the computers based on a custom group where you can select from a group of computers. These custom group includes selected few number of computers in the local office, or you can go by domain, you can go by organizational unit, you can go by the computer name, you can go by the IP address of the computer, you can select a subnet range, and you can also go by operating system. This lists a list of Windows operating system computers because we are creating a Windows task. So notify once the task finishes, only once or multiple times. You can also give your email ID, so you will be notified once the task completes. So you have the notification on your mail which confirms that your task has been completed successfully. So I'll create the task. So specific applications that need to be excluded, that's because we did not select all applications. So email address, so I'm not going to notify for now. So I'm going to create configure scheduler to proceed. One second, I will fix this. So I'm sorry for the pause, guys. So I was just figuring out. So we have this. So we have this scheduler settings. I will show where it is located. So we have this configure scheduler. So the frequency can be set preferably to daily rather than weekly or monthly, or if you prefer to have it after the second Tuesday, so you can go for weekly, or you can even schedule the time and date. So start at 24 hours. So I'm going to deploy it, let's say on 15th. So perform this every day, perform this on alternate days. I'm going to give every day and schedule. So the Patch Tuesday March task is created. So back to our current presentation. So we have created a task. So if you would like to learn more about our auto patch deployment tasks, I would recommend you to go for an online demo with our support team. We'll have that link shortly for you. And in real world scenarios, you'll have to test patches prior to bulk deployment. So all patches may not be compatible for you to apply. So in certain cases, you'll have to test the patches before they are deployed. So you can create local test groups and try these patches on test machines. So why do you do that? Because some patches may not be compatible with other installed softwares. What if they cause unexpected issues in production environment post deployment? What if they don't get successfully deployed? If patches are deployed successfully in test machines, they are deemed fit for the production endpoints. Now you can choose to manually or automatically approve the patches to be deployed post testing. Patches successfully installed in at least one machine will be deemed safe. So here we have, so I will show you the console. So approval settings, so test and approve. So we have two options: automatically deploy the patches without testing, automatically approve the patches without testing. I would recommend test and approve. So save. So all missing patches will have to be approved. Create test groups, add the machines. So you can create custom groups. You can select from the selection of custom groups, and then you can choose to apply the security updates or the non-security updates. You may choose security updates for now because they are to be immediately patched. So you may also want to include service packs and rollups. So we have choose group to continue. So I'll go with one of these. So this will take a while. For now, I will go back to our current presentation. So once the patches are tested, they are ready for deployment. As I said, if the patches are deployed successfully in the test machines, they are deemed for the production endpoints. You can choose to manually or automatically approve the patches to be deployed post-testing. The patches that are successfully installed in at least one machine will be deemed safe. So certain business applications are not compatible with the latest version of Java. So what do? We have a feature for that. So we have a decline patch for group. You can select the custom group. You can select a dynamic custom group. So for a set of Windows machines running Java runtime environment 1.6, so this is a software. So for those machines which run Java runtime environment, so I'm declining the patches. I'm declining all the patches, latest version of Java updates. So why do I do that? So decline patches is done to certain legacy applications, because older versions of applications may be compatible only with older version of Java. More critical systems such as server OS need to be declined patches. So for that, you'll have to first test the patches and then approve. and then deploy. If you deem certain patches that are not suitable, you will have to decline them for the server OS. Only critical patches and not bulk deployment are required for such server OSs. So you can also decline the problematic patches found during pre-testing. So which means if some patches are not compatible, so you have a provision for declining those patches from applying onto the production machines. So we have customized deployment options with granular control. As we can see, we have a lot of features under ManageEngine's patch deployment. We can also disable the automatic updates. If you think Adobe or Acrobat comes up with an automated automatic updates, we can disable that, and we can also view the system health. We can scan the system, we can download the patches. The whole process is automated, right from scanning of the patches, detecting the missing patches, downloading the missing patches on the DC server, desktop central server, and then deployment in bulk or towards a certain target of machines. So we can also have deployment policies. You can write your own deployment policies. You can decline certain patches. You can view the system health policies. So those patches which are updated with the latest patches, those machines which are updated with the latest patches, their system health improves. From, let's say, if a machine is shown as highly vulnerable system due to a missing critical patch, after patching it will move to green. It will move to safer system health. Now, as you can see, you can also set the patch severity settings. One or more critical patches will make the system highly vulnerable, and one or more important patches also will make it highly vulnerable. Vulnerable systems can be one or more moderate patches and one or more low severity patches. So we have a lot of features under patch management tab. So we have customized deployment options with granular control under ManageEngine's patch deployment. So create deployment policy. We can create a policy, as I said. So this can be during the system reboot or during the subsequent refresh cycle, or either of these, whichever happens first. Preferred weeks for deployment, I've selected all first, second, third, and fourth, and the last. So preferred days for deployment, you can also set the deployment window to happen, or if you wish to deploy these patches not affecting your productivity, so you can go for the second Saturday. So you can go for the second Saturday after the patch Tuesday, so it does not affect your productivity. So you can set a deployment window of, say, 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. where the production machines are not on. So we have also provisions for turn on computers before deployment, download patches software during subsequent refresh cycle. So we have ManageEngine has totally 4 offerings: ManageEngine's Desktop Central, ManageEngine's Patch Manager Plus, ManageEngine's Desktop Central MSP for managed service providers, and ManageEngine Patch Connect Plus. This ManageEngine Patch Connect Plus acts as the add-on for SCCM. For those who are using SCCM on your environment, ManageEngine's Patch Manager Plus is an exclusive automated patch deployment software which offers exclusive automated patch deployment with granular control. ManageEngine's Desktop Central, as you have seen now, offers a variety of features, right from patch management, software deployment, inventory management, mobile device management for a limited number of mobile devices for free, free tools. It also helps you generate reports. You can also have a variety of configurations on your Windows and Mac machines to choose from. So all right, we'll take some questions now. we are at the fag end of the presentation. We'll have some questions now. Questions. All right, we don't seem to have a question for the session. Okay, so we'll move on. So all that the Patch Tuesday update is about vulnerabilities and fixing them. So it is up to you to act in time and go for the best patch management solution in order to fix all the vulnerabilities so that you can secure yourself from the endless number of cyber attacks that are upcoming in 2018. So we'll float a survey. So please do rate our presentation, anything from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the best. Thanks for patiently putting up with me. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Thank you.